Yo guys, it's Murky Puddle again, and I got a little something new for you. So as you can see at the start of the video, that yellow party hat was 4K. It's going for 4K, selling actually. Completed sale on eBay, sold. I messaged the guy, wanted to know how did he get into this and how much does he make? And it's really interesting. I think you guys are gonna like this. So check out my interview. And if you like these styles of videos, let me know, and I can always do some more. So this guy's name was Jamie92 something like that on eBay. I said hi. He said hello, and he verified his name for me right there. And I said, so why don't you tell me how you got started with selling fats on eBay? I was just so curious. He said it's a very long story. Shall I start from the top? Yes, please. I said, and I believe this started during COVID. I said I obtained my first rare long ago for 8 million green Halloween mask, and I had to quit for several years to come back and find its value increased drastically. Truth be told, I became obsessed with the idea of passive income, but I never thought once of selling gold or breaking any rules. I think I was trying to figure out some of the best methods to view the chat or something, so bear with me. By the time COVID-19 hit, I had obtained over 40 fats. I started investing in the smaller items, running multiple accounts to keep up with the rate of selling. So rather than flipping, as people call it, I invest in items people do not care about, items people use mainly on DXP. By running 10 to 20 accounts, wow, maxing out each cap on all of them for small items, I earn roughly 80 billion a month passively. Damn. On my main, I normally play the game and stream, and I earn roughly 30 billion a month on that. But the reason I started selling, and I said, would it be safe to say this is your full-time job? He says, I own land, not at all. I spend roughly 20 hours a month directed to selling fats and gold, and it makes far more than my full-time job. And I said, you make more doing this than your full-time job? And he says, you also must consider I do pay taxes on what I make. I am a tax-paying citizen. I do this 100% legally. And I said, the eBay fees and the taxes and whatnot. He says, not only the eBay fees, I pay actual taxes. I report my income. When you make upwards of $100,000 a year on eBay, yes, guys, $100,000 a year on eBay, they send you what is called a 1099 form. You fill that out with your state and they deduct taxes. I was almost homeless at one point before I started selling gold. I lost my job and much of my land. Living in the country, there are not many options. Selling gold was a desperate move at the time. I was desperately trying hard to find a way to make money. And then one day on RuneScape it hit me. People may be willing to pay to save time, and so it was a difficult start for me, a learning curve. I was banned several times during my attempts. Eventually, I landed on a system that works. Not only that, but the amount of fraud of hacked eBay buyers who would buy from me and then report they were hacked. And at first, every time this happened, they won, and I gained nothing. Thousands of dollars gone. So I had to find a way to be able to change this. So I began recording. 50% of the time, they still won. Eventually, through trial and error, I found a system that has finally worked. It's made me feel safe and secure, and I can comfortably know I can't be scammed. I said, can you tell us about the system? He says, I'll give you an idea. Tracking information is the answer. Sending a physical item secures a virtual purchase. And I said, now I understand, because this explains why I saw someone selling a maxed account and a pencil. So they have to put a physical item in there. He says, yeah, that makes sense. And I said, how did you come to figure out how much these sold for in cash? And I said, why would you caution buying gold? Because he actually said I would caution anyone buying gold. He says there are precautions that should be understood. And I said, which are? I've kept my data from selling gold. I'll share some of it. He says, firstly, I have 27 level 3 accounts that have been banned, or that have been banned. Only 2 accounts over level 3 have been banned. I've sold on many of my free, then to go to some site where so God knows to trade and buy not to
But
trade
there's
and
still
buy on level three
people with a
accounts.
good
And I said, I
eBay
have so
rep
many
that
questions. Why
sell
would
gold,
people
right?
be
And
willing to
he
pay
says,
4,000 for yellow
yeah,
fat when they
everyone
can
who
pay
sells
4,500
gold
to
on
buy items
the
on eBay is
gold,
legit that I know
and then
of?
buy their own.
And I
And
said,
he
like, I
said
was
there's
buying breaks from
probably a
motorcycle
bit more
owners, but
flags on
more
RuneScape's
because I
algorithm.
wanted to be reassured
He
of
said you're
quality.
not
I said,
wrong with that.
exactly.
Reason one is
As long as they have
eBay
good
and
feedback
security,
and safety
that's
reassurance, it
good.
takes a lot of
The
work to
second
become a
reason
known,
is
most
important
important
reason
dealer
is
is
credit
because in
score.
a lot of cases people can
So
write
that's
off
reason one,
these eBay
trust. Many
purchases.
would rather
And I said,
spend more
no
and feel.
way. I said, absolutely. In fact, if this conversation was taking place 6 years ago, you could write it off the entire purchase as a hobby. And I said, how would they write off a purchase of a fat? Oh my God, that's crazy. I didn't know you could write off hobbies. And he said, not anymore, but you could still write it off as money lost. And I took a note right here because I lost some money in the stock market, and I wanted to write that off. So, like any losses of fraud, he says, um, purchasing equipment is right off for your business. If you plan to sell fats, if you need some to start your business, that's a write off. And he's telling me all these like tactics on tax write offs for what he uses, and I said that's sick. How much would you have made so far selling fats, including tax write offs? And he said, so long as you keep records and you're good at bookkeeping. He says this year, and I said right because you can be audited. Yeah, I said total, and he says roughly $500,000 he's made total doing this. I said, oh my God, what's stopping me from doing this? Like, I wanted, I was just curious. I wanted to know. He says, do you have competition? Or I said, do you have competition? And he says, always competitors. However, there are a few reasons it's not worth it. Also, how did you come to figure out how many people were willing to pay, how much people were willing to pay for these rares? I see you have set prices. I keep asking him this. He says, firstly, you can be in prison if you don't pay your taxes, and at the end of the year, you owe 50K plus depending on how much you sell. The second reason you shouldn't do it, and this is the most important, you're extremely limited. Let's say you have 20 accounts. Eventually, you won't have any left, and you'll be stuck with nothing but level 3 new accounts. And in my experience, it'll catch up with you. The ban rate of transactions of new accounts is 8%. Good advice, thanks, I said. And it's not just getting banned. You don't want customers to get banned, and then you'll have hell to pay. At first, and I said, have any of your customers gotten banned? He says, at first, when COVID first hit and I first started, 4 people total were banned. But since I found a system, never. 4 people reported and retracted the purchases. I mean, I'm certain there were more looking back. And I said, so how much do how do you determine, excuse me, how do you determine how much a rare sells for in cash? Was it just trial and error? I really wanted to know this because I was wondering where this random price came from. Is for the first few months, I picked the amount I needed for rent. Only needed to sell one every 2 months. From there, I guess people started copying me. I'm not entirely sure, but be aware that eBay fees are high. So let's say you get a blue fat for 8,000 on another site, eBay is going to take damn near 20% of that unless you skip advertising, but advertising is very risky too. So in many cases you need to sell blue fats for 12,000 on eBay, that is. I advise against advertising also, not because the cost is 7.5%, dang, but because you open yourself up to hawks. And I said, hawks? He says, hawks are hackers and that will have several accounts and purchase from you on different accounts and then end up claiming fraud. And this puts your funds on hold for anywhere from 7 to 18 days. Your account gets put on hold. There's nothing you could do about it. Refunding them is the quickest way to get back in business. It's truly not something the normal person can tolerate. It's a mess. It's messy work, stressful, and very detail oriented. If you have the patience, you can do it. This guy seems like he's an expert in this field, right? And he says also being banned with 10 fats on your account isn't something people want to risk. Yeah. The ban rate so far for a 5-year veteran or higher is 0%. All of my accounts, including this one, is 5 to 15-year vet. Smart. Not sure why I scrolled up here in the video. I do apologize. Alright, he says, all the ones left, I should say. Not saying vets can't get banned too, but on another note, eBay prices are negotiable, so just because you see a $12,000 blue fat doesn't mean. Bear with me here. Uh, Wonder what I'm doing right now. And In the game? Okay, here we go. Oh, so just because you have see a $12,000 blue fat doesn't mean that's what it comes down to. So what's the 3 to 7 day probationary period you're doing on eBay? That has to do with the physical delivery, the anti-fraud method. So just to explain that real quick, what I saw is him saying in his description, there's a 3 to 7 day waiting period. He's happy to haggle. Mind you, I did not grow up with wealth. This to me is more than a dream come true, and I'm very humbled for my unwealthy upbringing. Um, he said it's. I said I have so many questions. He said it's been amazing. Um, he says he always likes to talk about it. Um, and to everyone who's interested, he says, expect to get banned. Just have a backup plan and don't keep all your wealth on one account. Thank you so much for your time, I said. Oh, I think I had something to do, so I was wrapping it up. I'll let you know when the video is up, most likely tomorrow. Please subscribe, by the way, if you can. Pretty crazy, right? I mean, that is like a peek inside of a guy selling in-game items for real life cash. Pretty fucking crazy, man. I mean, dude just said he made half a million total. He makes 100K a year, bro. 100K a year, that's good money. And this isn't even his full-time job, he said. So check this out. I'm gonna go on eBay. We're gonna look at a few things. Uh, this is Jamie, 92908. You can see a little feedback of these people in the past month and 6 months claiming, he's a scammer, which is bullshit. I'm sure it's like he says. There's a lot of hacked accounts on RuneScape. People get hacked like crazy. You see him spamming things at the GE all the time on a hacked account, uh, and I'm sure they just. Well, anyway, check this out. So this is what Jamie's selling: 5 billion worth of gold, $430. Christmas scythe, $230. Yellow fat, 4K. I mean, he's got everything. Anything you could ever want. Blue fat, 13K. Black Santa, 2200. The list goes on, man. Let's check out his feedback. So for the most part, he's pretty positive. I mean, 97.6% with the thing you're dealing with is pretty crazy. Um, I'm not sure what kind of math I did right there, but I know 4K was for the yellow fats. So like basically, I put if he sells 120 fats, I mean he's making like half a mil. Insane. So yeah, he says the guy lets feedback discreet packaging. That's interesting. Um, but yeah, man, you guys can check him out on YouTube. I mean, sorry, on eBay. It's Jamie92908. Um, I can't actually condone buying these in-game items. I did tell him I would shout him out though for doing this. But yeah, man, please let me know what you guys think. I do apologize for taking so long to get this video out, but here I am, man. It's been Murky Puddle. Peace.